Good afternoon, students. Am I audible? Am I audible?
Again, sir.
Uh, so I think uh, we should start. At least time is already 10 minutes already gone. Near about. So we have to start. So we were discussing in the last class that MES 103 and regarding the different type of the learning models. Advanced organized model as well as so different learning models we were discussed in the last class means the Friday. So today is Monday, so we will uh, further continue regarding your MES 103. So may I know how many of students have gone through the materials which I was discussing that you should at least gone through the materials so that you people will get some exposure that what things actually was teaching to you and so that we can betterly transact the content among us. So have anyone done content? এই content দেখিছ কি পড়েছিল কি? Am I audible? ମୋ କଥା ଶୁଣା ଯାଉଛି କି? ମୁଁ ପଚାରୁଛି ଯେ I am asking that whether you people have gone through the contents or not. Okay. So no response from your sides. It's okay. So as today discussions, we will go for the block 4 in this MES 103. Block 4 we will discuss. There in the last class that inquiry training model we are discussing, concept model discussing, and inquiry training model we are also discussing, and advanced organizer model. So this one that was the discussions from the this unit course code 103 MES and block 3. So in today's discussions, we are going to discuss about the block 4, that is your instructional support practices at micro level. Uh, am I audible to everyone? Am I audible to everyone?
Again, sir.
Okay. So instructional support practices, I am presenting my PPT so then you can betterly understand that what things actually I am going to teach. Uh, okay. Is my PPT is visible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So what I am going to tell that MES 103 another is if you look then you can see that mental health uh, problem issues and concerns. Okay, so mental health issues, problem and concerns regarding to this. As you people, you may know that the transactions time period, the learners of this higher education stage, is all about near about the age in between from suppose the adolescence, mostly adolescence. If we will talk about the ages ranges will be 18 to near about 20 or 21. So that's why this is very concerning or alarming age for every one of us. For means also the teachers and for me also the learner, for me also the different stakeholder of the higher education system. So that's why we have to take care of the very systematically each and every learners. The learners who are going pursuing the different courses at the higher education level. That's why it is very concern issues today's generations. You people have heard about that the suicidal case report of our country of India, that the quota incidents, where the students gone for the actually the medical all India medical examination preparation for the all India basis of exam engineering selections. So you people have many more the last 5 years or 10 years history. If you look back, and you people have already gone through this, that what the things actually going on in our context of the socio-emotional condition of our students at this particular adolescence age. Because whether the quota pupils or quota students are going to after the completion of the higher education means plus two or higher secondary. So that's why what I am going to tell that uh, the guidance, counseling, and mental health issue is very important, and it should be taken care of. It every stakeholders in the higher education system who have been given the active or direct or indirect role in the system of higher education or in the uplifting of the higher education system. Basically, what we are talking about here, we are talking about the regarding our the teachers means the what actually the teacher is going to be handling this, how the teacher is going to be handle the students. These things have to be taken care of it by the teacher actually. So that's why in here actually I have given the title name, the mental health problem, issues, and the concerns. Okay, so mental health problem, issues, and the concerns. So we were talking about the guidance and counselings. We were talked in the earlier classes that teachers sometimes have to be become with the guidance, sometimes become with the counselor. Sometimes, if it is very needed, or adverse situations are going to be happen with any students in our high school system, we have to be taken care of it for or taken for the counseling, or maybe the medications system, medical supervisions by any of the psychiatrist doctor. So sometimes we have to be given or we have to fulfill this type of roles for the betterment of the students. So that's why the mental health problem and issues and concern is a very the challenging issues in the today's generation's students for as because today's generations want something, some of the many more things they want in a very short period of time. Everything means that their job or their mobile phone, their the living style, good living style, many more the things actually they want to in a short period span of time. So that's why their expectation is very high. And whether this expectation is going to be fulfilled or if it is not going to be fulfilled, then they are taking the suppose the any advanced step actually that they have been taken. So that's why we had to need address very carefully on this particular issues of regarding the mental health problem of the individual students in the context of the higher education. So here I have some of the things I have been quoted here that we experience stress when even disturb our usual level of the functioning and require us to make our extra effort to reestablish an equilibrium. So when the mental health issues going to be organized or going to be happened in the mind of our young adults or the teacher, the students, just to be taken care of it. So if you look this here in this slide, that sometimes the relationship issues, because I have quoted here first of all that the age period or the age is very here is a very important role factors for the handling the higher education students, because the age is particular going to be defined in the adolescent as age, means that 18 to 20 or 18 to 21 or 18 to 20, this age is actually have this they have actually. So that's why the different causes are being working for the arousing the mental health problem of the higher secondary students. So some of the problems, maybe we can say that the performance means that suppose performance is for the academic performance. If any students is fixing that after this first semester I will get this mark supposed to that, or after completion of 12th, some of the students are going to crack for the suppose the expectation that they will take or they should got admission in the good IIT or NIT or IIM for different type of courses, but sometimes it's going to be not work for them. So that's why in that particular stage or particular situations they have taken some mistaken actually the step actually they are going to take. So that should not be done by our students. So that's why there are many more actually the issues it's been creating for our mental health problem, such as the performance pressures. Pressure sometimes the our parental pressure is going to be some much, or we are going to be some sublimate on our students actually or our children. How suppose sometimes our parents is demanding that you should take admission in these sessions or you should go for these colleges for taking admission in such and such courses. So sometimes they thought that my parents had they have given they are on me on their expectations. So I should do at least, or I have anyhow I have to do that, or I have to take admission. So sometimes maybe work or may not be work, but the parents have to be taken care of it, whether I what the actually the willingness or our expectation is going to be for burden or not supposed to that should be taken care for by the actually parents. Sometimes the parent is don't looking into the or don't bother for that. They think that they are not like this, I should not feel I should ମାନେ ମତେ ଏମିତି ଭାବିବାର ନା ମୁଁ କେବେ ଭାବିବି ନାହିଁ ବା ମୋର ଭାବିବା ଦରକାର କିଛି ଆବଶ୍ୟକ ନାହିଁ, ବଟ୍ ମତେ ମୋର ଏକ୍ସପେକ୍ଟେସନ୍ସ ମୋ ପୁଅ ବା ମୋର ଝିଅଟାକୁ ପୂରଣ କରିବ କାହିଁକି ମତେ ସୋସାଇଟିରେ ବଞ୍ଚିବାର ଅଛି, ମତେ ସୋସାଇଟିରେ ଭଲ ରହିବାର ଅଛି, ମତେ ସୋସାଇଟିର କହିବାର ଅଛି ଯେ ମୋ ପୁଅଟା ଏମିତି ଜାଗାର IIT ରେ ପାଇଛି ମେଡିକାଲ ଇଞ୍ଜିନିୟରିଂ, ଏଇ ମେଡିକାଲ କଲେଜରେ ସେ ପାଇଛି ମେଡିକାଲ, ବା ଏହି ଭଳିଆ କୋର୍ସର ସେ ଇଣ୍ଟିଗ୍ରେଟେଡ ଏଇ ଭଳିଆ କୋର୍ସ ସେ ଗୋଟେ ଫରେନର ପାଇଲା। ତ ସେଇ ଭଳିଆ ଏକ୍ସପେକ୍ଟେସନ ବାପା ମା ରଖନ୍ତି ବହୁତ ସମୟରେ ପିଲାଙ୍କ ଉପରେ, ବଟ୍ ସମଟାଇମ୍ସ ଏଇଟାକୁ ବହୁତ ଗୋଟେ ବର୍ଡେନ ଗୋଟେ ହେଇଯାଏ ପିଲାଙ୍କ ଉପରେ। କାହିଁକି ପିଲା ଭାବି ଦିଅନ୍ତି ଯେ ବାପା ମା ମତେ ଯଦି ମୋ ପଛରେ ଏତେ ପଇସା ଖର୍ଚ୍ଚ କରିଛନ୍ତି ଆଉ ମତେ ପଢେଇଛନ୍ତି ସ୍ପେଶାଲ କୋଚିଂ ପାଇଁ ଏତେ ପଇସା ଆକାଶରେ ହଉ ବା FT କ୍ଲାସ ହଉ ବା କୋଉଠି ଆମର କୋଟା ଇଏର କୋଚିଂ ସେଣ୍ଟର ହଉ ବା ଆମର ରିଜୋନେନ୍ସ ହଉ, ସୋ ବା ପାର୍ଟ ଫାଇଣ୍ଡର ଟାଇପ ର ହଉ ବା ବାଇଜୁସ ହଉ, ବହୁତ ପ୍ରକାର କୋଚିଂ ସେଣ୍ଟର ଆଜିକାଲି ଡେଟରେ ଆସିଲାନି ଯେଟା ଅଲ ଇଣ୍ଡିଆ ଲେଭେଲ ର ମେଡିକାଲ ଏଣ୍ଟ୍ରାନ୍ସ ହଉ, ଇଞ୍ଜିନିୟରିଂ ଏଣ୍ଟ୍ରାନ୍ସ ହଉ ବା ଅଲଗା ଡିଫରେଣ୍ଟ ଡିଫରେଣ୍ଟ କୋର୍ସ ପାଇଁ ତାଙ୍କର କୋର୍ସ ଚାଲିଛି। ତ ପିଲାମାନେ ସେଠି ବାପା ମା ତାଙ୍କର ଲକ୍ଷ ଲକ୍ଷ ଟଙ୍କା ଖର୍ଚ୍ଚ କରି ସେଠି ଆଡମିସନ କରନ୍ତି ଏବଂ ଏହି ଏକ୍ସପେକ୍ଟେସନ ରଖନ୍ତି ଯେ ମୁଁ ମୋର ପୁଅକୁ ବା ମୋ ଝିଅଟାକୁ ଯଦି ଆଡମିସନ କରେଇଛି କୋଚିଂ ସେଣ୍ଟରରେ ମାନେ ମିନ୍ସ ଦେଟ ମୋ ଝିଅଟା ମୋ ପୁଅଟା ଆମେ ମାନେ ଯାହା ୱିଶ ମାନେ ଇଚ୍ଛା ରଖିଛେ ବା ହ୍ୱାଟ ଏଭର wishes actually we have been fixed out, so my children or my মানে means this they will have to be fulfilled in anyhow. So sometimes it is going to be a very advanced situations they may create, this may create for them actually. So that's why I mean the pressures from the actually parental, sometimes the society pressure, sometimes the uh, neighborhood pressure sometimes create. Suppose ଗୋଟେ ଘର ପାଖରେ ଗୋଟେ ପାଖ ପଡିଶା ଗୋଟେ ପୁଅଟା ବା ଝିଅଟା ତାଙ୍କ ଅ, ସାଙ୍ଗ ବ୍ୟାଚ୍ ରେ ହଉ ବା ସିନିୟର ହଉ ବା ଜୁନିୟର ହଉ ଯାଇକି ଗୋଟେ ପୂର୍ବ ବର୍ଷ ଗୋଟେ ଭଲ କୋଚିଂ କଲେଜର ବା ଗୋଟେ ଇନଷ୍ଟିଚ୍ୟୁଟରେ ଆଡମିସନ କରୁଛି, ଭଲ ପୋଷ୍ଟ ପାଇଛନ୍ତି। ତ ସେଥିରେ ବାପା ମା ଏକ୍ସାମ୍ପଲ ଦିଅନ୍ତି ଯେ ଦେଖ ପାଖ ଘରେ ପିଲାଟା ସେ ପାଇଛି ମାନେ ତମକୁ ପାଇବାର ଅଛି, ସେ ଯଦି ପାଇପାରିଲା ତମେ କାହିଁ ପାଇପାରିବ ନାହିଁ। So but it should not be like this, we should not say like this because uh, individual differences we know that individual differences have. So every individual have some identical differences among us, so that's why we should not say like this. So even if the health problem also the create sometimes some of the health problem also suppose students have the autism problem, sometimes students have the mental retarded problem, sometimes students have been pursuing any hair fall supposed to that, sometimes many more problem actually is being can maybe occur in this actually particular adolescent age. So maybe many more health issues maybe maybe happen to with anyone. So sometimes this type of the permittance or the prolonged health problem issues going to be caused for any kind of health problem for any kind for any with any students. So peer pressure also was given there. Peer pressure means suppose is a students constantly is going to be giving the very good marks in the classrooms, or she has been applauded by everyone teachers. So sometimes it make the feel for other students that they don't have any courage or they don't have any skills, they don't have any what I'm going to tell any performance. So that's why the nobody teacher is applauding for applauding them. Only the particular some of the students in their particular class in the in the classrooms, they are actually rewarding by the students teachers. So sometimes this peer pressure also creating the problems for the mental health issues of the students. So this should be taken care of. This should be actually taken account for the by the teachers also, even if the by different stakeholder, maybe the head of the institutions or maybe the our academic staff. Maybe it should be reached to the age and everyone that this problem may be happened with anyone in this particular stage of the higher education level. So even if sometimes relation issues, what I am actually that's why I was still talking about sometimes before that what is the particular age actually the at this particular age level actually they have at the age they what type of the actually the age level they have been pursued actually. So that's why the sometimes the relation issues may cause any mental health problem for them actually, and parental discord. So sometimes the divorce case of their concerned students of the parents, or sometimes the misunderstanding of the sometimes the parents of the prolonged time. This may the incident maybe create the suppose the mental health issues of the students and financial difficulties in our context of our country, like our so India. So financial for difficulties or many more students actually uh, they have faced actually different type of financial difficulty during their academic journey of life, especially in the higher educations. You people have heard about the mm, uh, physics classes of the director or maybe the founder of the physics classes. So how he has been faced many more problems during his the academic journey of his life, and he has shared in the social media and how he has got that financial difficulty during his tenure of the uh, secondary level and higher secondary level, and that's why he has opted out from the actually graduations, and he then uh, flourished their coaching centers day by day, and now it has become a very big deal for everyone. So that's why the financial difficulty is also a cause for them actually the mental health issues of the individual students. So students, dear students, so these are the some of the causes for creating the mental health issues in the students' mind. So that's why we have to taken care of it in certain this area or certain domain, so that we can help betterly or we can betterly reach to the each and every students in the higher education levels. So issue concern are there. Mental health issue and concerns and there, and day by day it has been increased the number of the issues because the time has already come up in our country that we have been talk about up to the yesterday that physical health, but now the time has come up that we have to take care of it physical health as well as our mental health, as this two type health is very much important for a better nourishment or better performing of any kind of students. Because if we will weak by the mentally or psychologically, then we cannot perform betterly in any stage or any academic journey of life at any stage of the academic. So that's why how much the our as like the how much our physical health is important, as like this our also mental health is also important in today's era, particularly in our country, because the developed country USA, or maybe if you talk about the Finland, Sweden, or maybe suppose the in German or Russia, they have been thought about, I think, our 2 decades or 5, 10 decades ago regarding our mental health. Wow. But now some of the organizations or some of the stakeholders of this country, they are going to be think about that. No, our country has come up for challenging or for meet up the issues of the mental health issues of the different uh, persons of the different level, because nowadays if we can see that different type of the societal case has been seen up by our, we will read the daily newspaper, that how cruelty we are uh, we have taken up or we have received up by any of us actually. So that's why the mental health issues is a very now is a crucial thing, and we should not think about it very seriously, that how to overcome this type of the mental health issues, and how what should I do actually, or what should we do that for the overcoming the this type of the mental health issues of the any level of our life or any kind of the issues if we are persevering or perceiving, then what should I do and what should we do as a whole, we have to think very seriously. So, dear students, if you'll go the next slide, then uh, different type of the health issues we may differentiate it, or we may um, categorized. So, depending on the severity, duration, and perception of the problem by the individual, his or her response mean the student's response is very varied. uh, we you people, and now sometimes before I am talking about that the different type of the mental issues maybe go happen with anyone. Some students maybe face the OCD problem, obsessive compulsive disorder. Some student maybe problem may been faced or supposed to the depression issue sometimes. Sometimes sometimes the people or students may be faced on the any of the psychological disorder problem may be faced. So it depends upon the severity, duration, and perception. So three component factors or three the modalities factor are depending for categorizations of a different type of the mental problems. So first is the severity. How severe means how much actually it has been severe happened with anyone, or duration, how many longer period of time it has been occurred with anyone. So that should be taken care of it for when we are categorizing the types of the um, mental health issues or mental health problems. So even if the perception of the problem, so how we are being perceiving the problem actually, or how the students or how the patient is perceiving the problem. That is one type of the criteria for category, or one type of the component factor for categorizations of the different type of the our mental problems. So uh, so that's why we should have the balancing between the demands of situations and individuals, familiar, peer group, and social group. So if you want to a balancing mental health life, or if you want to a free stressful life of any by of any students, so some of the things have to be taken care of it by the teachers, and as well as the student himself or by herself. What are the things actually have to be taken care? Now, to balancing in between the situation and individual, how a individual a perceiving the situation, how or he or she is reacting with any situations, there should be a should be a balance, there should be maintain a balance model, because without a perfect balance, some of the mismatch will be happen, and side by side by results many more the mental problem may be arise with anyone. So that's why we are talking about here the what I am going to tell, the balancing on between the situations and the individuals. We have to be balanced the situation and the individual. We have to balance on the familiar, peer, and societal value also. It means the why the societal values or norms have been fixed up by our the society itself. We as a individual society, individuality as a member of a society, we have to be give respect, or we have to be follow up all the, the societal values, and then only we can create a better society, or we can give a better environment of our society. So that's why the balancing situations of the and individuals and the peer groups and societal values have to be taken care of. And another thing is, if you talk about that, what will be the stress effects if will a student see been prolonged time, he or she has taken up any kind of stress in his mind or her mind, then what will be the going to the results? If you look back, if you look or if in the depth manner, then you can see that this effect of the stress may be psychological or physiological in nature. Means this the stress may be type two types. One is a physiological, or another is psychological. If I will psychological pain, if you will give example here, suppose a students of a students is bullied by someone of or his or her friends in the particular classroom, repeating manner, and in a so prolonged time, suppose that. And and this type of this suppose bullying by his or her peer groups in the classrooms is going to be creating the psychological stress, not a physiological. Physiological stress will be may create happen. Suppose a students is coming to the colleges, or suppose the schools by every day coming to the schools by cycling 10 minute kilometers, or suppose 20 kilometers. So sometimes this journey of everyday physical journey or maybe create is the any physiological stress may be happen. Even sometimes suppose any of suppose his or her, suppose the seniors or maybe his peer groups, each what I am going to say, যদি କିଛି beaten up କରିଲା suppose unlawfully বা unjustly, so sometimes it may create suppose to the physiological stress of each or her particular type of students. So that's why if you talk or if categorize in talk about the categorizations of the stress, so we will definitely get basically two types of the stress. One is what's physiological, and another one is the psychological in nature. So physiological response is characterized by the fight or flight. What I am giving now example. These things I have written down here. That the physiological response is characterized by fight or flight. Okay, once again I am repeating here. The physiological response, the physiological response is characteristic by the fight or flight syndrome, where the autonomic nervous system get activated in order to prepare the body to combat the threatening situation. Prolonged exposure to such situation can result in the development of pathological cancer and heart disease. Are you getting my point? Sometimes, suppose suppose the disease of any human body that is prolonged, actually he has been treatment by doctors, right? But it not be cured properly. So sometimes it may create a physiological pain or physiological stress for his body, and it may be automatically create a physiological stress of himself or herself. So that's why any patient of the cancer or heart disease patient prolonged, sometimes it is going to be very physiological, uh, the pain or physiological stress of individual body or of individual human. So that's why the students, we may categorize this stress in this slide. We may found that one is the physiological and psychological, and how the physiological stress will be defined and how the psychological stress we may define. These things have written down in this today's in this particular slide, and we have also discussed by giving the example that how may we categorize in between the psychological actually stress and the physiological stress. So if we proceed in the next slide, then we may see that how these psychological effects includes. Suppose if a student is prolonged being faced any psychological stress in his or her mind, then what will be the result? We can see the things have been discussed in this slide, and also we will also discuss in the upcoming slide also, and we can see in the upcoming slide. So the psychological effects, what are the psychological effects we can see here? That emotional disturbance. Students, I am disturbing that may this slide is visible to everyone? Is this slide is visible to everyone?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So the psychological effect include here, we may say that the emotional disturbances, and another is that here it is written down that cognitive responses. That emotional disturbance, if we'll talk, then how the emotionally we are being disturbed by anyone or any situation, any factors, then by this fact, emotional disturbance is going to be arising for the our mental health issues or mental problem. If anybody is prolonged time he or she has been undergone for the any emotional disturbance, maybe by the her or his peer groups, or any suppose family pressures or peer pressures, family disturbance, maybe suppose the socioeconomic difficulties, or suppose the what I am telling that academic pressure supposed to that. So these may be these are the types for causing the actually our mental disturbance, and which may be create for the our mental health issues. Okay, uh, students, just a minute. Uh, my slide also have gone. Just give me some seconds, then I am discussing. So that is emotional disturbance. We are talking now about. So emotional disturbance, how it's going to be happen? That suppose, say for example, I have been put here. And if a student fails to get admission into a college or course of the his or her choice, he or she might feel that his or her choice or entry into a good career have become negligible and consequently feel depressed. That's things actually we are discussing in the some few minutes back, that in today's time that our family members means our parents, maybe my elder brother and sisters, maybe my any um, uncles, or maybe my any mm, our elder brother and sisters of my family, or maybe my neighborhood. So sometimes they have been fixed out some of the expectations on myself. If I am a student of the higher education, then after my course, or after my suppose I am going to take admission in a higher education course, and I am now pursuing in the higher secondary. So now you know that the higher secondary final examination is going on. So some of the students parallelly they have been prepared with also their higher secondary examination, and also they are suppose the all India basis medical, or engineering, or maybe any other courses which may be going to be form fill up in few days, in after some few days one, and uh, that's why they have been prepared parallelly. They are supposed to that board examinations, and with their what the courses they are going to take admissions in the upcoming time. So all with parallel they are also preparing for this for that type of the actually taking admission for particular courses. So that what I going to say here, that this means that if he or she is unable to get admissions or unable to crack the examination of the particular admission of the particular any courses which have been fixed by the, or which has been by the parents, or maybe fixed by the elder brother sister, or any the senior member of the of concerned family. So he or she may have gone for the depression, because he or she will at that time he will thought, or that might have thought that I did not fit for this actually, or maybe sir, my preparation was up to not good level, so that's why, or I am not actually fitted for the, I was not fitted for this one, so that's why I could not able to crack or these examinations or admission test. So I should some sign that the people, students think that they should suicide by themselves. So, but this one is this type of the thought or this type of the occurrence with anyone is not a solution, or with not a good alarming situation, the good not a good sign of our education system. So that's why our mental health issues. That's why I am once again I am telling each and every one of these participants in this joining sessions. So I we have to be taken care of very carefully each and individual students when we are going to be teach to the higher level students, because this is the transitional phase of any kind any of the our students in when the students is going to be take admission in the higher education level, because this age is going to be defined as the adolescent stage, and this stage is very is a what I am going to say is a very challenging age for each one of us of the for each one of the students. So that's why as a teachers we have to be taken very carefully each and every the behavioral patterns or behavioral behavior uh, of any students, if he or she is being uh, negatively with anyone or for long period of time. So as a teacher we have to be taken care of particular students, or what is the behind the reasons for 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 the reason that she or he is being created this type of the problem in the classroom or maybe the outside of the classrooms in the higher education system. So that's why the emotional disturbance, we may say, that is one of the very main causes for creating any health type of issues of the very students. That's why what type of the reasons for that we the students may face the emotional disturbance. The one of the example I have been put here, that taking the for the preparing for taking admission any courses suppose, and for he or she if failed, then this type of the arising issues may create for any sub students for the mental health issues. So students, that's why this should be known by every teachers, because if we will not know very well that what type of the mental disorder have been perceived of the students, and what are the reasons for they have been faced, or the reasons behind for the mental stress, then we cannot be defined or we cannot categorize, or we cannot be giving the proper guidance and counseling that so that wow the by the result the student will face the or maybe will face much more advanced situations if we not meet up the situation in the timing process actually. So another the responses or maybe the effects, psychological effects, we may say that cognitive responses. We may cognitive means the mental. So mental block, the word have been written down that mental block during the important examinations. Example, this type of the responses. This means that students have studied regular and prepare well, and yet they cannot lie clearly all the time. Then catastrophic is another type of cognitive response to stress life, and even like slightly negative, even on out of preparation. For example, if a student also get a low grade on one of his tests and he might deal on it excessively and even decide that he will fail in the final exams. So what I am going to say that mental response, a cognitive responses may be cause some of the mental problem of the students. So students, I am breaking some seconds actually. The 5-10 seconds actually I am breaking now. Then we will continue. So nobody should left from these actually sessions, because many more things are going to be left for discussions, because time has very limited. Not limited actually, because why actually I am going to say limited, because you people are not interacting with the teachers. That's why it is been going to define the very limited. But if you have read out the things and if you will ask the questions and during this 2 hours of our teaching or 2 hour interaction, then it may be completed all the units of this your MECS 103. But if I will teach one by one to each in the sessions for three classes in 6 hours, but it is not a proper time, it is not a sufficient time to come to cover all the components of this unit, because you know that the unit 13, 14, 15, 16 the block have actually. So for the one unit, it should only the one class is required, but I am completing the 4 units in a one classes means the 2 hour class. So this is a clear picture each one of us that this is not a what I am again and saying that this is not actually regular classes as like the classes has been taken out by the IGNO, but this is actually specially counseling classes. So it means that you people have gone through the materials and you find the problem has been faced, noted out or faced out in some of the things. So you should talk about on these particular things. Then we may cover up all the things in the certain particular time. But you people have not gone through any content. I can say, but I may thought about that. So that's why the things is very vast, but that the time is very limited. So that's why just some of the key points I am been covered in these sessions, or I have to cover the session because today will be the last class of mine on this particular unit. So that's why there are in particular this MES-103 particular I am handling that two blocks 3 and 4. So 3 blocks actually I was taken 2 classes, but 4 I have been now started. So in these 4 actually there are 4 units actually. If you look, unit 13, 14, 15, and 16 are there, and 2 hours I have to completed this 13, 14, 15, 16. So it's not a possible to teach each and every beat or sentences, because if you have gone through the 13, 14, 15, 16, then if you will ask the questions, then we can betterly or we can completely discuss the things which is going to be not understandable by you actually. Anyways, just I am taking 5 or 10 second break. Then I will continue further regarding this unit block 4 and unit 13, 14, 15, 16. Okay. So just give me suppose 10 seconds break. I will continue uh, the further discussion of this particular block. Okay, students, uh, we have come up to continue our sessions. So, okay. Is my PPT is visible? Any of the students just say that is my PPT is
Yes,
visible or
sir.
not? Okay, okay, okay. So thank you. Uh, okay, we are talking about the cognitive responses. We are talking that how the during the important examinations, uh, many times, suppose if you just some of the days before our main core of the papers for matriculation examinations of our board of secondary education have completed. So sometimes or many more times we may see in the newspaper daily that some of the students have taken suicide for not meet up the stresses of the examination stress actually. So it's going to be we say that the mental pressures or mental blocks is being created happened with the students and particular student, and that particular this particular students have taken the serious life threatening by suiciding himself or herself. So students, that's why I am going to say the different type of the our psychological problem may happen with any of the students during the higher education stage, and we should taken carefully particular this type of the students actually. So that's why how we will identify if we do not know that what type of the mental health problem may be happened in this particular age, then we cannot categorize, or maybe suppose we cannot be identify that these students may have been pursued of this type of particular health issues, and we should address very take very seriously, and maybe sometimes it had been maybe taken up to the any suppose psychiatric doctor if it is needed there. So that's why as the teachers of the higher education level, we have to be we should have some of the concept or some of the knowledge, basic idea, basic knowledge about regarding the our mental health issues, and what is mental stress, and what type of the mental issues may be happened with this type of the students of this higher education level. So if we know, then definitely we can betterly address a particular time, and we maybe give it betterly a counseling process. Sometimes we have to be become some counselors, how we have to be given the guidance proper. So that's why, and the problem, what type of the problem have been pursued or have has or they are actually are there. We should be very pinpointed of the particular problem for addressing the different type of the mental health issues regarding these issues of the higher regional level. So the emotional disturbance. So now we have talked, and now we are talking about suppose our uh, like cognitive responses. So next, if you will go to the next slide, then you can see the another psychological effect. Like eating disorders may be sometimes creating the psychological problem. How the eating disorder maybe can be a problem. Uh, Suppose you know that uh, some students in adolescent period, this problem are basic, maybe very prominent issues actually with anyone of the students. So that's why it should be taken care of it. Uh, Suppose in urban area, if you look, that young adults are becoming more and more preoccupied with their body image. They are being exposed to the gym culture, and weight fluctuation are normal during the phases of the adolescence. The body undergoes rapid changes. Because if you know that nowadays the students, we also prefer for the gym, but not as not like, actually we are not preparing for the Suppose any pranayam or any yoga asana with our modern students nowadays, they have fascinations of about the gym actually. They have taken admissions for the gym and they have the fascinations about it. They don't have any fascinations towards the our a years of year practices about the yoga asana or pranayam supposed to be. But we have fascination of the gym. That is not a actually Indian culture of this. This have been borrowed from the Western system of the our what I am going to physical exercise. But we have this type of fascination. We do not. Don't have the fascination towards our the ancient or our fitness system, the Indian fitness system that is yoga pranayama asana. We have the fascination of the Western style of the fitness that is the nowadays talking about always gym. So that's why in the urban areas, different colleges or university students they have taken admission nowadays. And if you look suppose the students of our Bhubaneswar areas or whatever, maybe the any city town of our state of Odisha. If you take example of our state, then if people may see or may have been observed that this type of the things that many more students have taken admission for the gym actually, and they come daily, suppose effective manner, and sometimes many more incident is going to be happen with the gym because some of the gyms they don't have they don't have the good trainer or they not have the sufficient number of trainer who actually train to the students that how to do practices many more instrument during the gym practices. That's why the lack of the trainer or lack of the training they are doing and they have been faced some many more problems by the student actually. So that's why I am going to tell that eating disorder is one of these concern issues in regarding this. So in urban area that I am talking here, that rather than becoming more and more peculiar their body image and they are being exposed to the gym culture and weight fluctuation are normal during the phase of adolescence as the body undergoes rapid changes, both physical and psychological. However, in recent time, the role model of the young are derived from the sources where being slim is in premium. More and more yesterday. Heavy exercise and crash diet in the search of the perfect figure. Uh, so sometimes what happened that uh, um, many more students nowadays have been gone for the diet, actually proper diet maintenance. So for maintaining the diet, some of the nutrients of the food they have been taken for daily basis. Though those are gone for gym. Some lacking of the we can find out or we may see that. So that type of the food habit um, what I'm not properly food habit is going to be as a bad impact of their body and mind on as well as the mind. So that's why food habit is a very important during this adolescent stage. The proper diet have to be taken care of and proper food have to be taken. Nowadays, we are the young adults are taking the junk food, not preparing the home cooking food. They are not taking actually Maggie or maybe the preservation food. Suppose the pista or maybe the what I am going to say uh, uh, burger or momos. They have been taken in the daily basis, but this is not a good food for our health. So that's why our eating disorder sometimes may be the psychological as well as the health or the physiology and psychological problem may be arise by this type of the food actually. So that's why as a adolescent during the adolescent period during the higher education level of the students we have to be taken care of very seriously uh, that how what amount of food actually we have to take daily basis and what varieties of the food should we take. So these things have to be taken care of it when we are talking about the eating disorders or eating issues of and that eating disorders is prolonged eating disorder maybe create our health issues and by creating any health issues going to be problem for the suppose the psychological issues also because overweight is a very big problem. Even the underweight is a very big problem. So we have to balance our food habit style We have to balance our uh, the daily work routine, means of by for the student also, for the students. So these things have to be taken care of it when we are talking or dealing about the eating disorder pattern of our health, mental health problem. Actually. Okay, I ask a questions to the participant that is any participant is listening of my talk or not actually. Now, if I am delivering this type of talk, whether the participant is listening or they are just joining the sessions and they are doing any other works. May I get some response that yes, I have been listening to your sir words. Any participant can say that he or she is listening or to me or not actually. Participants, I am asking that whether my presentations or my talk is going to be helpful or not. Suppose to that. ମୁଁ ଯୋଉଟା ପଢଉଛି ସେଟା ବୁଝିପାରୁଛ କି ନାଇଁ ନା ଯା ଶୁଣୁଛ କି ନାଇଁ ନା ଖାଲି ଜଏନ୍ ସେସନ କରିଦେଇକି ଆଉ କଣ କାମ କରୁଛ ସବୁ?
ନାଇଁ ସାର୍ ବୁଝି ହଉଛି।
ବୁଝି ହଉଛି କଣ ମୁଁ ପଢେ? ତମ ନାଁ ଟା କଣ କହିଲ?
ସାର୍ ନନ୍ଦିନୀ।
ଓକେ, ନନ୍ଦିନୀ, ମୁଁ ତମେ ପୂର୍ବ କ୍ଲାସରେ ଥିଲ ମୋର ୟା ପୂର୍ବରୁ ଦିଟା କ୍ଲାସରେ?
ହଁ ସାର୍ ଥିଲି।
କଣ ମୁଁ ପଢଉଛି କଣ କଣ ପଢେଇଛି ମୁଁ? କିଛି ବି ଯଦି ଶୁଣିଥିବ ଟିକେ ବି କିଛି କହିଲେ ଚଳିବ।
ସାର୍ approach to learning, teacher
ଓକେ
related learning, types of learning,
ଓକେ ଆଉ
ସାର୍ factors of effective learning, types of learning.
okay, very many thanks that Nandini, that you have been a listener, good listener of my topic or my talk. And any other others participants? What about yours? Okay, Nandini, ମୋ ପାଠ ପଢେଇବା ଭିତରେ ବୁଝା ପଡୁଛି ମୁଁ କଣ ପଢଉଛି ବା କଣଟା ପଢେଇବାକୁ ଯାଉଛି ବା ମୁଁ କଣ ବୁଝଉଛି ବୁଝିପାରୁଛ କି ନାହିଁ?
ହଁ ସାର୍ ବୁଝି ହଉଛି।
ଓକେ ଓକେ ଓକେ। ତ ତୁମ ପାଖରେ ହାର୍ଡ କପି ମ୍ୟାଟେରିଆଲ୍ସ ଅଛି ନା ତମେ ସଫ୍ଟ କପି ଆଭେଲ କରିଛ?
ନାଇଁ ସାର୍ ହାର୍ଡ କପି ଅଛି।
ଓକେ ଓକେ ଓକେ। ତ ହାର୍ଡ କପିର ମୁଁ ଯୋଉଟା ପଢଉଛି ବୁଝିପାରୁଛ ତ କୋଉ ୟୁନିଟଟା ପଢଉଛି ଆଉ କୋଉ ୟୁନିଟର କୋଉ ବ୍ଲକଟା ମୁଁ ପଢଉଛି?
ହଁ ସାର୍।
Okay, if any of I what actually my query for region that means I have prepared or I have gone through your materials and I have prepared the PPT on the basis of your material because I thought that your ignorant material is the best material of the world. I may say, man, I mean of our India also because your is very systematically have written down on your if you look or if you read about your materials study materials of any courses of IGNO, particularly in the MN education syllabus or materials. So it is very systematically it has been written down by the expertise, and they have been put very systematically the component for your betterment that because of the students who have taken admission in this particular course. So if you read or if only if you read this IGNO materials, then it is been going to be fulfill your actually the needs of fulfilling your the objectives. Nothing have to be done another material now required. If you see references of the any other books, then it is okay. But at least if you see your these materials, it will cover up your syllabus or it will cover up it will fulfill your objectives. That if you will when you are going to be faces the examinations, or maybe if you're going to be any further academic journey, if you pursue, if you have a wish or if you have the willingness, then definitely this is going to be help for you. Means that what I have also discussed That if you are cracking for the, if you are preparing for the suppose MN, UGC net in MN for MN for UGC net preparations, this may be helpful very much, uh, very systematically it will be helpful. Definitely, I will say, because many more of these participants from this after completion of MN education, they have got that very good job, and even if they have been excellent in their academic journey by completion of this course and by come through this materials very systematically and very seriously, if any students will do. So the things is that, so that's why I am once again I am telling that students, please take in the courses seriously. If you love your courses, if you love your subject, the subject will definitely will love you. Subject will definitely give the results, because until unless if you will not fall in the love with your subject, subject will never get the good results for you. So love your subject, and subject will definitely give the job opportunities, and give the better understanding, give the give a better systematically organized pattern of your lifestyle. So systematically everything will come to you if you do your job is a very honest or faithful manner. Then definitely the things will give the justice to you. So anyways, if people have gone, you have if people have completed graduation means we may think that if people have very much uh, what I'm going to say mature. So did not say many more things, because if people know that what things should you do or what things you should not do in this life or in this time. So anyways, some of the personal things actually I am discussing, but it's related to your academic and it will definitely help. So that's why the what I am going to say that eating habits have to be uh, for maintained properly, and good foods have to be taken up when a student is pursuing the higher education or any courses. Uh, and this type of the eating habits have to be taken care of. There are the things I have put in up in this. And these things, if you look your materials, these things have given there, and what I am preparing, I have been prepared this PPT on the basis of your materials. So nothing any new things I am not add on here. So definitely these things have already given in your study materials. So anyways, if you go on the next slide. Sexuality issues may be another major things which may create our mental health issues of this particular age uh, specific time, because I have mentioned that what ages is being happened, or what ages actually the students pursue, particularly when a student going to take admission any higher education courses during his life or her life. So sometimes the hormonal changes, or maybe sometimes the adolescent age or young adults, uh, sometimes the sexual drive also the maybe causes any type of any mental health issues. And along with this, sometimes the mysteriously sometimes thoughts or feelings related to our sexual drive, or maybe related to the changes of the hormonal of our body, may create some of the many many times health problem issues of our higher education level of students. So that's why this should be taken care of it of by the teachers when teacher is handling this type of the adolescent students or adult or young adult students in his or her classrooms. So students, along with this, if I talk, if when we are discussing the sexual issues, then the social influences like the peer, parents, value structure, and moral religious beliefs are major variable which determine the integration of sexuality into the self-concept of the young adult. Young people have a number of mental health concerns about sexuality. What I have been talking now. the sexual drive issues, maybe time some of the creating some of the mysterious new thought or feelings in this particular age. So that's why if you're controlling the mysterious unusual feelings or unusual thoughts in this particular age, or if you can control them, then but definitely this is going to be very very helpful for measurable taken actions for eradicating or maybe that to meet up the challenges of the mental health issues by causing of this actually sexual issue actually. So that's why as a teachers, uh, when we are dealing such type of the students in that during this particular age, a particular this level of the students, it means the higher education time. So we have to be taken very seriously, very seriously the students on this particular issue. Also. So what I am going to tell about the sexuality issues, if we talk, because we are much more mature, so we may discuss these things because these things is related to our discussions or related to our topic. So we may discuss without any botherness. So sometimes our masturbation or sexual intercourse or or moral concerns, pregnancy, birth control, love, or marriage. Sometimes the early marriage or maybe of the any students is going to be create any mental health issues of the students who are going to be take early marriage during college days. So it may be create some of the mental health issues create. So that's why it have to be taken care of it. Even if sometimes the inconsistent and conflict-ridden, often hypocritical world in which they live, which adds to their problem and difficulty and creates greater incongruence and discontent for them. So, students, the sometimes conflict-ridden things maybe arise in the student's mind. Some of the students during this stage, they maybe think upon that some of the students happened with any one of the students or with happened these things that they thought that this is the particular age for marrying or this is the particular age for our fulfilling our any sexuality drive supposed to that. So that's why we have to be taken the students very seriously uh, on the issues of this particular thing when we're discussing the such type of sexual issues of this particular ages of the higher education level. So next we will proceed that it is have been mentioned we are now come up with the different type of the mental health issues and what type of the mental health issues may be created with the students of any students in this particular level higher education and what are the component factors for being creating for the mental health issues of the students mind maybe both psychological and physiological. Now as a teachers, what should I do? What would be our role actually to meet up the challenges of this particular mental health issues of the at this level? What should be our role model for the students actually? So here it has been that's why uh, specifically mentioned I have been in this slide that the university teacher as a guidance and counselor because we are talking now in this your special paper higher education paper these things have to be gone through and as a teachers of the university level or college level we have to be sometimes become as a counselor we have to be role play as a also a guidance for the students so that's why it is mentioned here clearly university teacher as a guidance and counselor. So guidance was historically defined as an actively restricted to vocational and educational concerns of the students. There is a difference in between guidance and counseling. You know that because guidance, when should I give the guidance and when should I give the counseling? These things have to be differentiated and clearly concept we have to be taken by our sides. Because if we not have a clear idea that what is difference in between guidance and counseling, then we cannot give proper guidance for the students actually, and for what time it is needed guidance and what time they needed in the counseling, we may not be give to the properly for the students. So that's why guidance and counseling, what it is about, and what is the difference in between guidance and counseling. As a teacher's sides, we have to be clearly favored by our sides. Then and only we can give better guidance and counseling when it is needed and what time it is needed and what type of the problem they have been faced and whether guidance is required, whether counseling is required. We maybe think about it and we may be address properly for the students. So that's why dear students, we have to be think upon as a sometimes act as a guidance, sometimes act as a counselor. It's basis upon the pattern of the students, pattern of the problems the student being faced. So guidance and counseling today's nowadays, we have talked about these things before sometimes. Now we are also talking that it is being accepted as an integral part of the educational process. So once again, I am telling this guidance and counseling. You know that the UGC have been given a serious instructions to each of the higher institution of our country that every institutions they should have one guide, one counselor should be appointed by universities. Why? Because things have been changed nowadays. The students may have faced many type of mental health issues problem during this particular time. So that's why proper guidance and counseling should be given if anybody is facing any type of the guidance issues or counseling issues with related to their personal life, with related to maybe their professional life, with maybe related to their student life. So many more problems may be arise with regards to the guidance counseling. So that's why as a teacher we have to optimize very seriously for this concern of this guidance and counseling. If you are giving any guidance or counsel to your students, there are many more things have to be taken care of it by our side. So guidance and counseling is particularly concerned with the helping individual discover their needs, assess their potentialities, and develop their life process and formulate plans of actions in service of this process. So when we are helping some individuals, we have to be taken consideration of individual needs, individual their potentialities, individual because suppose I am giving guidance to any of the students that after completion of this course, you may proceed for these particular courses after completion. But sometimes he or she is not interested of these courses for further due course. So if I am giving the instruction or I have aware that you have to pursue these particular courses after completions of this course, it may not be helpful for particular student. So that's why the individual needs and the potentiality have to be judiciously check out that what they are actually needs, what their potentiality, and what can they can do. These things have to be taken care of it when we are giving the guidance and counseling to the students. So that's why students, according to their needs and potentiality, as a teacher, we may develop their life processes after giving proper guidance and counseling. And with this develop their life processes, we may formulate plans of actions in service of these processes and proceed to their realization. Realizations we may organize or we have to be organized in the in the eye of their mind, of the student mind, so that students can see the things very organized manner, that what he or she is doing now, or what he or she supposed to be need to there, or what he or she will be definitely will be do after some days, or after completion of the case. We have to be taken up the things in front of the eye of the students, so that students can take decision betterly or judiciously, that what's need to be done by themselves in this particular level of the studies or in a particular time actually. So that's why it has been clearly mentioned, when we are giving any guidance counseling to any students, we have to be discover their needs, and we have to be assess their potentiality. Every individual have different individual have their identical potential. Because every student have does not have the same potentiality actually. So that's why every individuality students have to be have their identical potentiality. They have differential potentiality they have been pursued. So on the basis of these, we have to be need to address on their needs, on their potentiality, and so that we may develop their life processes and formulate the plan of actions in service of these processes and proceed to their realizations. And it is important to understand that guidance is not about solving a particular problem, because we are not giving the problem solver, because problem will the problem solver will be done by themselves. Just we have to be channelized, we have to be eye opener for the students, we have to be things discussed in a critical manner, so that student can see the things, that what is right or what is wrong. But decision up to the by the students. We may not take the decisions for the students, because sometimes these students may be help or may not be help. That's why we have to just giving the facilitations, or we have to analyze the problem and what type of problem they have been faced. But what will be the solutions for the particular problem, or what should be the done for overcome the problem? The student have to be taken care of it. We may not take, because we are just giving the guidance, and we may be giving the proper counseling process, but the problem will be solved out by themselves. If they will not work for this, if the students will not follow the particular steps to eradicate the problem, so that it will be not definitely going to be helpful. So that's why it is clearly mentioned here. It is that it is important to understand that guidance is not about solving a particular problem, but about empowering the individuals to learn how to solve problems. Once again, I am repeating that guidance and counseling process is not about solving a particular problem, but about empowering the individual. Empowering the individual means empowering the students. Here we are talking about to learn how to solve the problem. So in its context of the guidance and counselor, guidance can be seen as the process which makes the individual self-directing and capable of taking his own decision. What I am discussing now, or I was discussing sometimes before, it was clearly noted here that guidance can seen as the process which makes the individual self-directing and capable of taking his own decisions. It also helps the individuals in maximizing the development of his potentialities, abilities, and utilizations of opportunities available to him. So, three things is talking about: potentialities, abilities, and utilizations of opportunities available to him. So here, one Bhatnagar and Gupta 1999 Indian context, the goals of guidance has been identified by Bhatnagar and Gupta. I have mentioned here the self-understanding, self-acceptance, self-directions, and self-realizations. So four things have been discussed here or have noted or have mentioned here, that self-understanding, self-acceptance, self-direction, and self-realizations have to be taken considerations. Let us now focus on counseling. So after the guidance, we may talk now on the counseling. Counseling in the past was seen as a synonymous or with advice giving. Try to recall how many times you have been given advice to a colleague regarding some problems he or she was facing, or to a student telling him or her about how he can deal with his life in a more effective manner. Did you ever think that you were counseling them? In a sense, you were, but counseling is more than this. So, counseling, what is? Now, counseling is often described as a form of psychotherapy. What the actual psychiatric doctor is doing and what a counselor is doing is very different. So, we have to differentiate these things. So, counseling, that's why it is written down, that are described as a form of a psychotherapy. We can give the therapies to the students in which the counselor adopts a permissive and supportive role in enabling a client here it is means a student, to solve his or her own problem. So first, we have to generalize his potential or her potentiality. We have to visualize the things very critical manner, and we have to create out the utilization of opportunities. After that, we can give their counseling. So that's why counseling is often described as a form of a psychotherapy, it is clearly mentioned, in which the counselor adopts a permissive and supportive role in allowing a client to solve his or her own problem. Sub conceptualization includes that self development as an integral part of the counseling process, involving the development of a range of techniques and skills rooted through a relationship to facilitate a process or helping basic change from what type of the change we may taken up by giving the counseling. It has clearly note down here, the dissatisfaction to satisfactions, pain to comfort, low esteem to high esteem, low social skill to social skills. So we may shift from a condition to another conditions if I will give the proper counseling to a students. If a student is facing any problem regarding to mental health issues, so that we after giving the proper counseling, we may changing his mental state or his lifestyle or maybe his adverse situation to the good situations. So means dissatisfaction to the satisfactions, pain to control, or low esteem to high esteem, and low social skills to social skills. So thus, counseling is not a center around a single approach to problem resolutions, but aims of making the individual more self-dependent and helps him or her to become more self-actualized by gaining deeper insight into himself or herself and his or her potentiality and abilities. Once again, I am repeating this sentence, that counseling is not a center around a single approach to problem resolutions, but aims of making the individual more self-dependent. Evaluating the definition of this guidance counseling, which we have discussed earlier now, we can easily see that they are both universal processes. And whether it is guidance or counseling, development making him or her more confident and contented, they are the mean for the whole individual and cannot be restricted to certain part of his personality alone. So now he's talking about guidance and counseling areas of young adults. So teacher as a counselor caters every aspect of his student life. We have talked now many more times, even before sometimes we are talking about that how a teacher can become a counselor, how a teacher can guidance for the students. So starting from the minor adjustment problem they might face because of the new and free environment in colleges as compared to the what they experience in schools. So there is a sometimes changing environment of the lab, the context of the environment of the education level is differ from the school system to the higher education system. So sometimes there have been adjustment problem with the colleges when they have crossed about completion of the school system. So that's why with facing of the new environment system, they may have some of the they may create some of the problem of the related to the environment. So we too, as a teachers, we have to be taken seriously. So that's why career guidance shapes interpersonal relationship issues, dealing with the sexuality, dealing with the heterosexual relationships, having communication gaps with their parents regarding the problem, and sometimes having low esteem. We have to be look around into this areas whether the students have been pursued for the different mental issues. So this is only the tip of the iceberg of this list of problems which often analyze. The first stage of your preparation is that internalizing the regulations that students have problem not only the cognitive domain but in other domain as well as especially the social. Sometimes we always talk about the cognitive and mental problem, but not like this. Other area maybe they've been faced the social problem, emotional problem, moral, personal problem. They may lead to create a mental health issues of the students. So it is also important for you guys that you not only have to deal with the problem but also consciously work towards the development of these domains. For the cognitive domain, you can means we can keep the students variously articles and discuss them in a class while relating them to their personal experiences. We can also draw student attention towards how these articles can be useful in improve their daily life. Similar exercise can be developed in other domains. Friendship skills, stress management training will be particularly useful for the social domain. Autonomy training, reflection on conviction will be very useful for building moral aspects. So some of the techniques of the guidance counseling I have given here, that is your rational analysis, how the rational analysis as a teachers, we try to dealing our thought, means they have been their thought pattern, the thought matter may be different, may not be right way. So that's why we should have tried to dealing our thought from our feelings, means student feelings. Usually when we are very worked up, we distort reality and reflect to the situation emotionally. As a consequence, we may develop unsound and irrational negative feelings. And these unrational or irrational or unsound feelings may create prolonged time, prolonged, this may be create a mental health issues. So that's why we have to be try understand the behavior of the other persons and continue to perceive ourselves as the victims and other as a offender. While using this rational analysis, students are asked to relax. So what should we do in this? What we will do in this analysis? Now we ask to the students to relax, cool down when their anger or anxiety disappear. Then they are asked to use logic and reason to analyze the reason why the person who offended them. Sometimes students bullied by by some peers. So sometimes they thought they are the actually mm, offended actually a particular this type of students. So that's why may not be rightly think their thing actually. So that's why we have to channelize, we have to rationalize for their thoughts, we have to dealing their thoughts so that we can solve their problems. So when they are able to find reasons for this term, learn to accept the situations and tend to generalize the use of this technique of ascribing motives to the other situation as well as in the operation of the principles, their negative thought and attitude have to be combated and replaced by the more positive and reality oriented ones. So preparing an emotional sheets. As a teachers, we have to prepare a emotional balance sheet of the student's mind. So in this context, we have to we have to be a balance sheet, prepare a balance sheet of their strength on one side and weakness on the others. The idea is that why we will create their strength and weakness, because by listing these discreetly, student will get an insight into themselves, that they are then asked to examine their weakness and suggest ways in their own life situation as to how this can be converted into strength. If any students have their more weakness and compared to their strength, so then we can give the assignment, or we can give the say that how your this type of weakness we can be, or they can become to their in terms to the weak strengthening. So the, because first of all we have to be observe their strength and weakness, and then we will say that how we this type of weakness you people can become in your strength. We have to say here, and so that suggestive ways in their own life situation as how this can be converted into strength, and this process enables them to assume responsibilities and for their own lives, and also realizes that negative or weakness are not a permanent and can be changed and converted into positive. So sometimes people or student thought or think that they have their many more weakness, and that's why they have been faced their low esteem, self-esteem. They feeling they are not at any worth living. Actually, they are living. They are not for any valuable ones. So that's why on these particular issues, we have to say for the particular student that you have to be change this weakness into your strength and converted into the strength or into the positive. And it is a very empowering experiences if we may create onto the students. So negotiation is always is another technique to giving the solution of a particular problem. So negotiating with others, we get an opportunity to present our point of view, clarify our intentions, restate our motives, reason, etc. for our behavior, so that the other person understand that we may also engage in a process or asking for forgiveness, a second chance, etc. And it usually works very well, subject to the atmosphere and condition being conducive. Cognitive restructuring technique also a technique. In this technique, what we will do as a teachers, their attitude, perception, belief have to be check out. What their attitudes towards others, what their perception towards others, what their belief system towards others, and this to be have to be targeted, and how this the pattern of thought, attitude pattern, or perception pattern, or belief pattern from the negative belief pattern, negative perception, negative attitude have to be become in a positive way. This is all about the cognitive restructuring technique. Life skill approach also be taken, also be given them, because without the life skill approach, we cannot become a successful teacher, or we cannot become also a successful students. So that's why the skills including the listening to others, conflict resolutions, problem solving, anxiety management, decision making, coping with the life transitions effectively. These type of skills we have to be inculcated to them by the into the students' mind, so that after taking this life skills approach as the positive way, they will become their problem solver for themselves. So that's why the life skill approach have to be given away in a right manner to the students, so that students will solve their problem in a systematic way actually. So even if after all the things, after all the analysis, after all the step, all the techniques, last one is that mental health education have to be promoted, or have to be inculcated in the course of studies, because you know that in a B.Ed syllabus, also in MN education, their syllabus guidance and counseling paper is there. Even understanding the self, mindfulness, these things have included in the in the syllabus. Nowadays, you people can see that if you look the serious, the minutely observe the course of studies, the mental health education have been included by the our course of studies in different higher education courses. So Student, this one is the discussions of today's. So if people have any problem regarding to our discussions, regarding to our talk in today's in this sessions, you people definitely ask to me.